went red, right? So it pushed higher, it dropped back, but it stayed above these key levels. The higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? And so we've got one higher low in here, around 57. And I guess, depending on where we push from, if we push from here, you've got another one about 59. One of the things I was talking about, like the bands are probably going to go green, which will be a trigger for many people to get long. Bitcoin will reclaim this 50 EMA, which again is a trigger for people to get long. It might even reclaim the 200-day moving average, which would be another trigger for people to get long. These are all things that would happen around that area there. And so that's where I'll be watching for weakness initially. And the backdrop, though, is pretty decent. I see plenty of reasons to be hopeful and optimistic for Bitcoin, despite some of the bearish potential. The things that are most concerning is that gold, stocks, all these other assets have had really good reactions, really good runs, and crypto hasn't. And then if those other markets turn and crypto is just trying to rally, but then there's a little risk off period, maybe as the dollar rallies again, it's basically like crypto has missed the chance. On the flip side, Trump's odds are rising again of winning the presidency, and that's tied to crypto pretty well. Doesn't seem to really have reacted much yet, to be honest. But maybe this is just building itself a base before it pushes higher. I'm skeptical because weakness is weakness, right? There's a reason why stocks have rallied all the way back up. There's a reason why gold's at all-time highs and Bitcoin's at 61. Weakness is weakness. And the first and foremost, you listen to what the charts are saying, because at every period in the past, whenever Bitcoin has been abnormally strong or abnormally weak, a few days, weeks, or months later, there's always been a reason that came out. Oh, so-and-so was buying, so-and-so was selling. That's why. The charts tell you first. So I see this more as a lagging chart that's catching up, which is fine and can go higher. Bitcoin doesn't need anything to happen to be able to go to here. Right? Bitcoin can go to there just as part of a regular trade. That's just where Bitcoin has been. And you have to be mindful at this point, right now, because it's all going to change. If Bitcoin goes up here, right, that's the trickiest part. Because it will fire systems to get long. It will, flip the sentiment bullish again. And it is the peak, the point of maximum risk, because you've had a rally all the way from 49 to 67 with no pullback. Right, you've made a higher low, but there's been no pullbacks, right? There's been just basically up, consolidation up, and then suddenly are people trying to get positioned at 67, right? When you've got all of this below, and you're not actually in a range, you're not actually bullish, right? You're just a repeat of over here. There was no pullbacks in this move up here, and it led people to getting long and long and long, and what happened? Flushes it all out. And that would be one of the things, like if Bitcoin moves up and people start to, again, do the same thing, there's nothing to stop Bitcoin just coming back down and just continuing to do all that before it actually breaks. And I think it's more important to actually see Bitcoin showing strength again. Like, don't forget, back in October, Bitcoin was the strongest asset of all. It was leading ahead of stocks, way ahead of gold, with more impulse, bigger moves, bigger breakouts, sustained strength. And that isn't the case right now. So maybe, if I had to guess, I think there's just some heavy sellers here that are still dumping, and they have to get cleared out of the way. The question is, though, who's selling, and when they're finished, who's bought from them, and is that, a sign of a shift back to bullish momentum, or is it bigger players, smarter money exiting? We don't really know. You can never know. But you can see in the charts that crypto's lagging. So I'm still cautious, although I think we go higher. And that's basically my view. I think we can go a lot higher in the short term, because you have to remember as well with crypto and how bait it is. It's like they have to bait in people. Even just think about this. The sentiment around ETH is shit. Okay? But if ETH does this, everyone's going to start looking, oh, is it time again for ETH? And then down it goes. Like, I think bears think that this has to just fall off a cliff. I don't think that at all. The strongest rallies come in the most bearish markets. I mean, do you need a better example than that? Strongest rally, right up into the highs, took the highs out. That was a bearish rally. That was literally a bear market rally, if you look at the way it progressed after. And it seems a little bit like, okay, is this, let's just guess at the bottom again. That's kind of the vibe I get. People are just guessing at the bottom again, ignoring the fact that Ethereum has broken its entire bull market structure. And when it's broken its entire bull market structure, you shouldn't be looking at, oh, is this the bottom yet? You should be looking at, is this going to go lower? Which I know is the same question, but people view it from, is this the bottom? And it blinds them into being bullish biased. You don't want to be blinded into either side of bias, bullish or bearish. And the way to do that is, what's the current trend, which is down? Okay, what are the signs of the current trend continuing? That would be failed rallies. Okay, where can I say the rallies have not failed? Right? And then that's your invalidation. So if you actually want to be bullish, the easiest way is you have to wait for a rally, you have to wait for the rally to stop, and then for it not to fail. Right? That's it. Like if you waited for this rally, okay, and then you watch the reaction, and you watched it and it just flushed all the way down, you're like, oh, failed rally. How does a rally look that isn't failed? It's one that breaks out or has a big move and goes above a key level and stays there. And it doesn't have to look good. Ethereum didn't look good when it finally broke out above 2200. Right? Moved up, consolidated, broke out. What did it do? Came back, support resistance flip. Spent a month there. I mean, it's so simple. Why does everyone miss it? Because it looked like shit. Good. Felt like shit. Good. But what was it doing? It's above resistance. So right now, it's below resistance. And it needs to flip that if we just go with that really simple level, which is quite an obvious level here. I think that's a pretty solid SR, right? Where it's tested and tested and tested and tested. And I think we need to see a rally through it and then an attempt to actually hold it. And you'd be actually waiting for Ethereum to make another high beyond that, right? Because even then, you're still only at 33 and you've got all this above. There's no rush. There's so much ETH needs to do to even become remotely bullish that I think stressing about whether it's now or not is premature. Solana, same thing. Solana will just continue to grind. The volatility has died off, which is what I wanted to see on Sol, and really for all of these coins. But I was mentioning at the time Sol because it moved up and it took out these highs, and it moved down, took out these lows. I was saying that you don't want to see volatility increasing in a range like this because that's a sign of distribution. You want to see it dying off. So it is dying off right now. Of course, that doesn't have to mean that it's bullish. That could be a impulse down, sideways correction, and then it goes lower. But what it looks like is if this volatility dies off and then you start to see Solana moving up, that's a really good sign. That's a sign that sellers have exhausted and we're probably going higher. And again, for Sol, the same thing applies. It's above like 180, where you really want to seriously look at Sol. It's two lower high attempts after the first move to 210. Anything in here is a range. And it's really nothing more than that. Again, it's all, people will want to guess and hope, and this could be it, and this should be it. But you really are just throwing darts at a board with your eyes closed in a range. And I don't know, after the run we've had, I think people also forget, because maybe they missed it, right? People forget that we've had almost 2 years of bullish market, which means it's not early, right? It's, Bitcoin's been going up since November 2022 and really up since January 23, which is 18, 19, 20 months. And so it's not early from that perspective, and it's not a point at which you're going to get super easy 100K run, next big breakout. Like, the market's going to have to build its way through, and it's going to leave signs, as it always does. And there's going to be some actual, return to bullish, which I don't see. I see this still as being just a sideways move, angling, sloping downwards, that is struggling to reclaim all the levels from before. And this is the last part I'll finish on. Like, good to zoom out every now and then, right? Good to zoom out every now and then and just look at this and remember that all of this range before we lost it, so from the first move up here to where we had double bottomed it, that was the previous value area I was looking at, all the way across until we broke down from it. That's where we have this value area that I mentioned, about 61.5, around there, which we're now consolidating below. So price is still consolidating below where it previously distributed. Because we had a wick down here, if you then consider all of this, right? If you consider all of this as part of the new range, because that's where price is encompassed since this breakout, here's where we're at now. Right at the value area low again, from the run up and the distribution and the move back down, because this could all be a valid range. We've been there, we've been there. If price comes back down to retest that, that will be normal. It's been there just 3 weeks ago. It's easier, in theory, it's easier for Bitcoin to go to 50K than it is to go to 74. Right? Price has a memory. Bitcoin was at 74 way back in March. It was at 50 on the 4th of August, 5th of August. So, I would say there's still a lot to be done here. And the actual bullish, now you don't have to wait for this. This is more like if I was adding a swing trade, I'd hopefully want to have my spot bags filled before this. But the actual bullish move, like I keep saying, is above 70. It's if Bitcoin moves through the range, right, breaks out, boom, that's where you go. Like, that's where you actually get the breakout to all-time highs and beyond that holds. And it's fine, it's okay to want to position before that, sure. But there has to be you have to have some kind of confirmation, which for me is not here yet. Not on the lower time frames or on the sort of mid time frame. On a weekly time frame, it looks okay. Just another consolidation inside. We've taken out last week's high, and we're just sort of compressing. So I think this can be a good move. I think Bitcoin can go higher. I would never doubt Bitcoin. I'm a big Bitcoin bull. Anytime Bitcoin goes up, it doesn't need a reason to. I just would be playing this more short term, because I see what's going to happen as soon as it starts to move higher. People want to get long, as they always want to do, and I'll be watching the open interest in that pretty closely, which I'll touch on a bit more in Trade of the Day. So we'll check that out in a second. GM, GM, GM.